How's it going, Dragons? This is the legendary Dragon Duelist, and today I am bringing you guys the first place Shark Eldlich deck profile. Now this is a very strange deck. Who would have thought Sharks and Eldlich combined? Now I will say that they do have a little bit of synergy, as the main goal of the deck with the Shark engine is to summon Buzzsaw Shark, and then it's a 1-card Bahamut Shark, which makes her totally awesome. And you can also go for Abyss Dweller. So it's a 1-card engine to make a rank 4, and it's pretty much a 1-card negate, and also follow-up plays on your next turn. In the Discord server, I hosted a tournament, and I took this deck with me to the tournament. Now, normally I don't really participate in the tournaments there, but I decided to go for this one. We're starting up tournaments again. There's, of course, a link in the description if you want to join the Discord server, get in these tournaments. We're going to start hosting more. As for the meta it was kind of a strange meta. There's some good decks like Dinos, and then there were some also kind of strange decks like Synchron's. You don't really hear about Synchron's that often. As for my matchups, I got against Altergeist. I 2-0'd Altergeist. My second round, I 2-0'd Dinosaurs. My third round, I 2-1 Lurelust Tri-Brigades. And my fourth round, I got against Dragon Link. I did get a default win on that one. It didn't matter though, because since I won the third round, I was winning the tournament no matter what. But I did duel him anyways afterwards, with the same exact deck list. And I did 2-0 him, so if you want to count that, there you go. Now, I did not expect it to do this good. I didn't even expect to win. I kind of feel a little bit bad about winning my own tournament. So I'm not entirely sure if I will be in the next tournaments. Now let's just get into the deck profile. Enough about the tournaments. As you can see here, I have 3 Buzzsaw Sharks. Of course, this is just for your Shark engine to get into your 1-card combos. That's pretty much all I have to say about this. Note that it can be treated as a level 3 or a level 5 monster. So that's why I have like some random rank 5s and stuff like that. Well, just one random rank 5. Because those do come up for having some more board breaking potential going second, which is kind of what the Shark engine provides. It provides like an engine to use with your Eldlich. You go into your negates with follow-up plays, and that's pretty much all they do. Now these are kind of bricks. The Lantern Shark, it's kind of weird. It's a brick sometimes. Well, most of the time it's a brick if you draw it. You don't really want to draw it. That's why I have it at 2. But there is a reason to have it at 3. Now, the Shark engine. One of the worst parts about this engine in Eldlich is that it dies to practically any hand trap. It dies to Ash Blossom, it dies to Gamma, it dies to Valor, it dies to Imperm. It plays around Nibiru, which is good, because it summons Toad within 4 or 5 summons. So Nibiru is bad against this deck. Also, sometimes players won't really know too much about this Shark engine, because it's such a weird and obscure engine. Like, who would think of this? Not many people really think of a deck like Shark Eldlich. So sometimes they'll even hold their ashes or something. So if they hold their ash, if they don't use their ash on Buzzsaw Shark, then you're pretty much safe for the rest of the combo through ash. There's not really much else your opponent can ash. Now with the Lantern Shark, the reason why it's not a brick sometimes is because if you open it and Buzzsaw Shark, you can normal summon this and summon your Buzzsaw Shark, and it plays around cards like Ash. And since you don't have to use your Buzzsaw Shark, play around that Ash Blossom. You don't have to worry about it. I guess you could use it if you want also, and I would, in that case, target Lantern Shark so you could summon another Buzzsaw Shark. You want our 2 Lantern Sharks in the decks for recovery plays. You could run 3 if you want more recovery plays and if you want to see it more with Buzzsaw Shark, but I tried that in testing and it wasn't really that good, as I ended up just opening more Lantern Sharks than Lantern Shark and Buzzsaw Shark, so it wasn't really that good. Now we have Beautiful Princess. I don't really know too much how to pronounce its name, but this is pretty much just so you could summon Buzzsaw Shark from the deck, and it still plays around Nibiru as it summons within 5 times instead of 4. It does kind of suck that your opponent can still use Nibiru and you are forced to negate it, but it isn't too bad. This of course just for more consistency, and there's also the 1-for-1 that you could summon this with. Now as for the Shark engine, most of the time you are of course, once again, going into Bahamut Shark, going into Toad, and then recycling Buzzsaw Shark with your Toad. But sometimes you could go into Abyss Dweller for other matchups. And there is also a chance where you get like a 4-card combo. Pretty sure it's just a discard with 1-for-1, a normal summonable Shark, and a Buzzsaw Shark. So with that hand, you could get 2 Toads out and FO if you wanted to, or you could get a Toad and an Abyss Dweller. Probably go for Toad and Abyss Dweller, that's probably the best option. It kind of depends on your matchup though. Now for more of the Eldlich engines, we have the Golden Lord, which is of course just 2 of these, because 3 of these you don't really want to see it in your hand too much, but you don't want your Eldlich traps to get turned off if one of these gets banished. I do like that it's an out to some things, as you can send a card on the field to the graveyard if you have another trap or spell in hand. Next for that hand traps, Nibiru. Now I decided to go for Nibiru because it's a high impact hand trap. There wasn't really too much control in this tournament. There was only this deck and then one other Altergeist deck. That was the only control here. I did not see this against Altergeist, so that was good. It honestly was very good overall. And since we're not really summoning that much, we don't really have that much on the field, we're just gonna have like our Bahamut at the end of, like after we use our Toad Negate, we're just gonna have Bahamut Shark on the field. So you're not tributing too much on your board. And also you do want your Eldlich traps in the graveyard, so it helps get those in the graveyard. Artifact Lancia, the main decked Artifact Lancia. You might think it's kind of strange to have the main decked Artifact Lancia, but it is a very good format card right now. In every matchup, there is at least slight use for it. Against Altergeist, it turns off their Pot of Extravagance. Against Dinos, well, you know how good Lancia is against Dinos. Against Lyreless Tri-Brigades, another deck that Lancia is just completely... it's just really good against. Dragon Link, they like to banish a lot. Red MD, they're baby dragons. I just call them the baby dragons, but I mean the white dragon and black dragons. Chaos Dragon, Levianeer, there's just a lot of banishing this format, and it was very good, although I do not believe I did see it in a game 1. So I could see you siding this card, maybe take out the evenly matched they have, or the Guitarlas, but it was a very good card in this deck. Next is Ash Blossom. Now, it's still a good card, but I don't really like it as much as I used to before. And the reason is that it's kind of just like, it depends on what deck you're up against. If you're up against a deck that really relies on using like one play and not getting Ash, against like meta decks, it's not really that good. If they have an extender, they could play through perfectly without anything going wrong. It's still good, it was just better before, I feel. A Cursed Eldland. This is now, of course, for more consistency with your Eldlich engine. That's pretty much all it's for. Consistency, you could send it to the graveyard with your Eldlich mainly. Make sure you get this off the field if you're attacking with your Xyz monsters and stuff, since they aren't zombies. You do want to get that Zeus out, so try to get this off the field if you can. Forbidden Droplets. Now, this is a really good card. I really like it in this deck, 3. It was very useful throughout the tournament, and just throughout testing overall. You could side deck this if you want, but honestly keep it in the main deck, it's just too good. Even like control decks, even them, they have certain cards that you can use this against. Against the Altergeist, like I use it against the random Altergeist monster that bounces your cards. I forgot its name. I don't really know that much about Altergeist, so it's just very good overall. You could use it to send your Cursed Eldland, your Pot of Prosperity, which I'll talk about next, and even your Bahamut Shark. It is nice to have the Bahamut Shark on the field, because sometimes they don't even get rid of it and you just summon out a second Toad. I do like it when I have Bahamut Shark on the field for multiple turns. Now, Pot of Prosperity, this is really good. We don't really have too many extra deck pieces we want. As for cards I banished, either 1 or 2 Abyss Dwellers, it depended on my matchup. I banished this one, this train. I didn't really banish this train because this comes up more than this train, I would say. I banished this. If I didn't need it, I would banish Link Spider. Depending on my matchup, I would banish Phoenix. I pretty much banished Phoenix every matchup except Altergeist. Cerberus, not really. I didn't really banish that too often. And normally I do like to keep the Bahamut Sharks and the Toads. Maybe I banished a Bahamut Shark. You pretty much get a whole bunch of consistency. It's just kind of scary card. Do you Ash this, or do you just Ash what they get off of it if they're getting off like something useful? Of course you're gonna get something useful. It could be frightening to your opponent, because what if they have a negate or something? Like, they decide they don't know if they should use it on this. They decide not to use it, you grab Forbidden Droplet, your plays are good now. Now, they would have wished they negated the Prosperity, but then if they didn't, then you would have just gone with your other combos and then used it later. It's just really good, and in my opinion, it's always better than Extravagance, unless you're a budget player. 1 for 1, of course, I've talked about this a little bit. It's only just summoned this, only for consistency with your Shark engine. Called by the Grave, since it is so prone to Ash Blossom and other hand traps, the Called by is mainly for the Ash because a lot of people are still playing this. A lot of people were playing this in the tournament. I did draw it a few times, but I do think the times I did draw it, my opponent didn't have Ash Blossom. I could be wrong about that, but even if your opponent doesn't have like Ash Blossom or something, it's good just overall if you just set it. Now, Sanguine. This is pretty much to summon your Eldlich from deck. It's also to set a Golden Land spell or trap card from your deck. So it's pretty much just with your Eldlich engine, this is the best one. I don't have the spell cards that special summon Eldlich. I don't feel like those are necessary. Just play some other cards that are better. You have enough consistency with this already. Next we have Conquistador, this one just pops. That's pretty much all it does, except for also set Sanguine. Use your Link Spider with it. If you do have this, plus another one of itself and Hakieru, you can make this one if you want. That did not really come up at all, honestly. I just made Cerberus instead most of the time. Now Hakieru. This is also good. It's a DD Crow, one of your searchable traps. Next is Ice Dragon's Prison. Now this is a really good trap card. This one saved me in my matchup against Lurlisk Tri-Brigade. This helps you out the Windberry statue that I went up against in Lurlisk. It's just good against every matchup. It's good against dinos. I won against dinos because of this. I won against Lurlisk Tri-Brigades because of this. It's just so good. You need to play it at 3, I would say. Okay, let's go to the extra deck. 2 Bahamut Sharks, of course. You're only going to bring out Toad with this. That's pretty much all it does. A lot of the times my opponent didn't even go for the Bahamut Shark. I think they were more worried about like my back row and my other cards, and probably thought that I only played 1 Toad, which is another reason why this deck being so obscure kind of works. They didn't know that they should get rid of the Bahamut Shark, and I punished them by getting out a Toad. When this would be on your field, on your follow-up play, use it first. Use it first to get out your Totally Awesome, and now you're kind of secure with the rest of your turn. It was just kind of like an annoyance to them. You can't shuffle back Toad with Toad. You can pretty much have an infinite amount of Toads and a lot of Bahamut Sharks. There's almost like pretty much an infinite loop that you can make with making Toads, so that's also a reason why I don't have a Double Fin Shark in here. Double Fin Shark, you could play it if you want. If you do play it, probably just play it at 1. But I don't feel like it's too good. I don't think it's too good enough to put in this deck. I'd rather just put in like some other power, like good cards, like hand traps, other traps. I just don't feel like Double Fin is the best. Abyss Dweller. I was going to make this against Lurlisk Tri-Brigade one time. My Buzzsaw Shark got ashed, I believe. I wasn't able to make it, but overall, most of the time I do go into Bahamut more than this one, but I have 2 in for matchups, like just in case I want to go into this instead. I have not really summoned it too many times. I could see you taking out 1 Abyss Dweller. I think that would be fine. This deck isn't like exactly optimized. There's still a lot of testing to be done. I probably just test this for about a week before entering the tournament. Play around with it, mess around with it, see what you could do to make it better, because there's probably a lot of better ways to go with this deck. Now, Valiant Shark Lancer, this is for your follow-up plays mainly, because with your Toad, most of the time you're going to get your Buzzsaw Shark. So you recycle your Buzzsaw Shark to your hand, you pretty much always have a chance to play the game. Even if your top deck is terrible, you could still use your Buzzsaw Shark and make plays. So you would use your Buzzsaw Shark, you would make this. If you wanted to pop a card, you can pop a card, but if you want a multiple material Zeus, then you won't pop a card and you'll just go into this instead. This one also helps on your second turn. You make this using your Valiant Shark Lancer. Now this one gains a bunch of attack. Now, a lot of people don't know about the attack gains. There's been times where I attacked and they take 2,200 and I'm like, no, 3,700 instead, and they get surprised. This deck is really good at surprising people. I show people Eldlich Shark and they're just like, what the heck is this? I haven't seen this at all anywhere. They don't really know what to expect. They don't know what's going on. Some people who are fans of sharks and stuff and do know the shark engine, they will of course know this a little bit, but either way the concept of Shark Eldlich is so obscure, but honestly it works. It kind of works, and it works far better than I thought it would. I don't think I mentioned that it negates all the face-up monsters your opponent controls. You can use it to force out a negate. It's good for that, but most of the times I didn't really use these 2 effects. There has been times where I keep this on the field on my follow-up turns. 3rd turn I'll have Toad and this guy out, because this effect, it can be a pop quick effect if you had another Water Xyz monster like Toad like Bahamut Shark. So I did keep this out for 1 or 2 matchups. They're pretty good. They're one of the main uses for follow-up plays. That's why I have them in there. I wouldn't cut them. Now the trains, the one that burns for 2000 and the one that OTKs, these are kind of okay. In testing, I got use out of this one time. I haven't gotten use out of this one, so I can see you cutting this if you want. There wasn't really much use for it. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about those. They didn't really come up. I banished them a lot with Prosperity. But Zeus is amazing. You get Buzzsaw Shark, you get these 2 materials out, you summon this, attack for 3,700, make your Zeus. Zeus is what won me my match against Dinos, I believe, along with Ice Dragon's Prison, just like some really good cards that really just came in clutch. Zeus was very useful against a lot of my matchups. Now, number FO, I haven't really used this at all. I've used it in testing once where it was okay. It's just not really that good. I could see you cutting it. I use it mainly to out certain things, like you can out Dragoon, but you could kind of out Dragoon already with this and your Zeus. It's just not too good. I will say though that if we get the Utopic Future Dragon, I would keep this one in. I would keep it in if we get that card soon, which we probably will. We'll probably get it sometime within this year, and it would be a very good card. Once we get that, keep this in and probably just cut like an Abyss Dweller or the train, or maybe even Link Spider. Link Spider was okay. It was of course used for Eldlich traps. If we only had the trap, not access to our Eldlich yet, we would use this in the end phase of our opponent's turn, make it with Link Spider on our turn, then on our end phase, use it to bring out Singlet. I think it did against Altergeist help me push a little bit for more damage, but I would have won that game anyway, so it didn't really matter too much. Next we have Nightmare Phoenix. It could have come up against Altergeist, but it didn't really. It was alright. I would probably still keep it in because it's a nice generic Nightmare, and there's not really too much more that we could fit our deck with. You could put in some more Xyz utility cards if you wanted to, and I was thinking about putting in Utopia Double for an OTK, but I just felt like it wasn't viable enough. Next is Cerberus, the out cards in the main monster zone. This one was pretty good. I went into this a lot. And one more thing that you should know about the Link monsters, use it before you go into your Buzzsaw Shark. I believe this one also. Yeah, before you use Buzzsaw Shark or Lantern Shark, that's when you have to make your Link monsters. You get locked into Xyz monsters a lot with this deck, so just make sure you use these first, but the locking wasn't too big of a problem. The only time it was kind of a problem is where I had Buzzsaw Shark. I wanted to go into Cerberus instead, but I just couldn't. Now for the side deck. Droll. Droll is really good. It was used against Dragon Link. Pretty much just ended their turn. Just really good in the side deck, I'd say. If you want, you could swap it out with Lancia. That might be a better option, but Lancia was good this tournament, and I'm glad I had it in the main deck. Next, Skadarla. This is going second Kaiju, and also to out the Wind Barrier statue. I drew it one time, and I did actually end up losing that game against the Lurlusk Tri-Brigades. That was the only game I lost on tournament. I still ended up winning the match. You'll see later in the replay, but I just couldn't really follow up with my out. Next we had Pankratops. This one is a great going second card. Special summon it, beat over a monster, tribute it, pop a card. Could remove 2 monsters, 2 cards. It's just really good going second. Twin Twisters. I played Twin Twisters instead of like Cosmic because there are some cards that we could use in the graveyard, like our Eldlich cards. We do have like quite card advantage. It's just a good card for this deck because you do want to get your Eldlich in the graveyard. Even if you have it going first, if you have this on the field, Eldlich in the hand, you could use Twin Twisters, discard your Eldlich, pop this, and then now you get the effect of your Eldland. Next is Harpy's Feather Duster. This, of course, is just good against the macro decks. Not much more I could say about that. Evenly matched, this one's also really good. Very underrated, I would say. I have been thinking about cutting this, not because it's bad, but because I just feel like there's other options that I feel like could work better, but it's honestly really good. If I could use it going first also, first of all, it would be broken, and I would probably just cut Twin Twisters instead. Since it's not really that good going first, that's pretty much why I would even think about cutting it. Next is Red Reboot. Now this is really good against the trap decks. If your opponent uses a Red Reboot, chain Red Reboot, you get the effects of your card still. It's just good for countering itself. It doesn't really come up too much, especially since it's a one-up that both you and your opponent would have to draw in order for the situation to come up. I don't like too much that it locks you out of these cards as well. I got Red Rebooted once, and you will see that actually, but it wasn't too big of a deal. But overall, just, of course, great card for shutting down trap decks. Now, that was a whole deck profile, but I am going to also show you a quick replay from the tournament. He did ask me to cover up his name. I'm going to cover up the name a little bit. Probably still keep this here, the Brownie Pug, so that way you know it's me playing. But this was the round 3, the round that determined who the winner was going to be. The winner of of this match would have won the tournament no matter what their score was for the next round. So obviously you already know that I won the tournament, so obviously you know how I won this match, but it is still good to see. It was very entertaining. I was kind of on the edge of my seat a lot. You can see here I lost the rock paper scissors, so that was disappointing because I had to deal with the wind barrier. I kind of got upset, like not like really upset. As you can see, I drew Nibiru plus Ash. That was a pretty nice draw. I saved the Ash a lot for the for the bird because I was just that afraid of the wind barrier. He did hard draw it, but he was also going to try bringing that back up with Oath. But anyways, here we're going to see he uses Fractal and then sends Nerval, adds Kit. Now he's going to summon Kit, use Kit effect, banish 2. Right now he is at 2 summons, by the way. Keep track with Nibiru. He summons the Harpy. Next he goes into the bird as summon number 3, and he did have called by, so if he could have summoned the wind barrier from his hand also. I don't know if you forgot about that, but he had Oath, so that's probably why he didn't just end it there, because he also wanted to use Karaz, as you can see. But it was good that I didn't have to use the Ash because of called by, and I believe he did keep it in his hand during the end phase. I'm not entirely sure though. So he sends that to the graveyard with Kit because it's protection for the wind barrier. Next he discards it to activate Karaz, and then summons it, and then he's going to use Karaz, banish 2, and he's going to get this one. This one's for the bounce. If you counted the summons, you can see Kit was summoned 1, Conductor was summoned 2, this was summoned 3, the bird was summoned 3, Karaz was summoned 4, and the Ancient Warriors was summon number 5. He had exactly 5 summons. He said end phase here. I don't know if I'm going to show that to you guys, but he said end phase. And just so you know, just a tip, instead of saying end phase, say end of main phase. It didn't really matter here since, of course, he would just go into end phase going first. But if you're going second, don't say end phase, don't say battle phase, say end of main phase, and that is the best option to go with because now your opponent doesn't know if you're going into battle phase or end phase, and that is a legal move, by the way. On end of main phase, I slapped down Nibiru. That was really good because I didn't have to use Ash, I didn't have to use it on this. I just wiped his board real quick, and it only had 1500 defense, had kind of a beefy amount of attack, but if I just put it in defense, I could beat over with my own Nibiru, so it was better that I used Nibiru and could have used Nibiru over Ash Blossom. Of course, main decking Nibiru isn't really thought of too much. That's a good reason why this card I feel is really good in the main deck, why I really liked it in the main deck. And you could kind of just see in this matchup how just all the pieces on my deck just really comes together, and I just really like that. Also, by the way, this hand was kind of, I'll be honest, look, that's kind of like, that's a pretty good opening. You have your Shark Engine, your Eldlich pieces, and 2 hand traps. Yeah, it was exactly 5, so tribute to his board, he gets a token. He continues in main phase and sets the called by. He kept the called by for Ash Blossom. That's a play that you should make if you're playing Lureless Tri-Brigades. Of course, I didn't know that. If I did, I probably would have Ashed Fractal instead. The Fractal is in the banished right here. Now he passes. The reason why I didn't Ash those, like, even though I had Nibiru, is because I was a little bit worried that he was going to summon under 5 times, which honestly probably would have been the better option to play around Nibiru, but it's game 1. Who thinks about Nibiru really too much? Anyways, enough rambling with this part. Going on to my turn, I draw Hakeru, which is the other piece of the puzzle to the Eldlich engine. Now here I summon Buzzsaw Shark. I go for the Buzzsaw Shark plays. He has Oath here. He was planning on using it, but he needs to have the Link monster he controls, which he had 2, which was another great reason which is another reason why Nibiru was so great. So I was practically comboing here with 0 disruptions. There's the one call by, but the call by wasn't really that bad at all. I went with the Shark plays instead. I could have gone for the Zeus instead if I wanted to. I think I went with this because I could see he didn't really have too much board pieces, he didn't really have that much. So I felt like just with the pieces that I had, this was already enough to win. Just this. Like, this is enough pressure. And also, here, I could have made Zeus anyways. I just stopped from making the 2 material Zeus. I just made, no, this is 2 material. I meant the 4 material Zeus. Also, he did take more damage than he should have here. But I told him about it. I told him Bahamut Shark can attack, which he didn't know that. If I could have cheated, if I wanted to, I could have. But no, I'm not. I don't do that. Please don't cheat. So I slapped on the Zeus because totally awesome attacked, and then I set all my pieces. It didn't really matter where I set this. Should have set this here to play around the column. Actually, no. I set that there because I was afraid of Imperm. That I was playing around Imperm column, not Mech Knight column. I play around Mech Knight column as a joke sometimes, but normally it is actually kind of good to just like know correct column placements. Like you see here, I played around Anima. I played around Imperm column. There isn't really a way to play around the transversor column except by putting your most needed monster here. Probably should have waited to put Zeus there or Toad there, but I wasn't really planning too much on the Shark Engine succeeding because of the set cards, but Lureless, there's not really too much set cards, so don't really have to be too afraid there. I only had the one Buzzsaw Shark and Grace, so there's nothing there. He draws the Lureless Cobalt. That wasn't really too good of draw, so he just has to scoop there because I could just pretty much keep putting pressure on him. Next, he decides to go first, of course. So next, looking at our hand, I had Eldland, Prosperity, Hakeru, Gadarla, Lantern Shark. It's kind of okay, so I had the out, but I was kind of relying a little bit on my top deck being good. The Lantern Shark wasn't really good at all. It was kind of just a dead card, which is why I don't really like it too much. You know, you kind of have to play it. In this case, deck is a little bit like Eldlich Synchron, as you're using one card combos to get a negate out. But instead of 2 negates plus some draws, or a bunch of draws plus 1 negate, you're getting out 1 negate plus a follow-up play. Which, I mean, 1 negate plus a follow-up play versus 2 negates, is that better? I don't know, you decide. Plays less bricks, I believe also less extra deck pieces. So I don't know, potentially you could determine whether it's better than Eldlich Synchron or not. Just let me know what you think. I was relying a bit on Prosperity draw in my top deck. Pitches Fractal. Yeah, he sends that from his deck to the graveyard with Fractal. So that way he could summon this and then bring out his card back, bring back his Cobalt. And then he gets a search for Nerval. Next he goes into the Lureless Xyz monster you can see here. Uses its effect, detaches a material, searches for the Swallow. Next he summons the Swallow and uses effect to summon Nerval. Next he goes and he links into the Harpy again. And now he's going to use an Nerval effect. And he's going to banish a bunch, and he's going to bring out the Doom Eagle. Now he links off with it and the Doom Eagle into Apollosa. And of course, the Kaiju doesn't activate, so he can't negate the Kaiju. But he can play around Nibiru and Ash Blossom from here on out. Didn't really matter too much, didn't have that many hand traps anyways. Next he's going to use Kit, banish 4, and bring out the Link 4 Tri-Brigade. Next he's going to immediately link off with it and Kit into the Blossom. And now he's going to get the effect to search card, and he's going to get the effect to send a card from deck to graveyards. He sends Oath. I believe this was the card that was that really helped him in the graveyard because it has a graveyard effect, which is if you control at least one of each beast, beast warrior, and winged beast, you could banish it from the graveyard. Target one face-up spell or trap card your opponent controls, negate it. Now, this comes up, I did not know about this at all. This comes up in this replay here, in this game. Next, you're gonna banish 2 with Karaz, summon out this guy. And he's kind of just popping off here. He has a whole bunch of pieces. Next, he draws 1. He even drew Called By, which he kept to play around Ash Blossom. And he also drew Harpy's Featherstorm. He had 2. So that's why he didn't set the other one. Didn't really matter too much. It was just... This is just this is a very, very powerful end board. There wasn't too much that I could have to play around this. I top decked for turn, Sanguine, I believe that was. I used Prosperity. I banished 6. He let that go through. You can see there I banished Evenly, Golden Lord, Buzzsaw, Beautiful Princess, another Gadarla, Lancia. So I had it evenly matched because the Eldlich, that wouldn't really have done enough. I just felt like I kind of needed a piece to just get rid of this board. I didn't know about Oath at all. I don't know if the Eldlich would have been better than the Oath, but there wasn't really much I could do, or the Buzzsaw Shark. it wasn't too good for me here. So I wanted to end the battle phase. He negated it with Oath. Of course, once again, wasn't aware of that. I still kaiju'd that. I used Cursed Eldland. He didn't let it resolve, he bounced it to hand instead by attributing the kaiju I gave him. So I kind of just set 2. I set the Lantern Shark, but he just keeps on following up with a Samorg. If you can't really out it on your first turn, there's not too much that you could do to out it. You have to either stop it or out it very quickly. As you can see here, he just brings out this now. And I just know that he's just gonna go into game at this point. I went to flip these cards. He ashed at me. He banished cards. This is just game, so I just scoop here after taking a little bit of damage. Next we go into game 3. I finally get to go first. And my opening, I don't like the Lantern Shark, of course. He had Ash Blossom also. I had access to the Shark Engine. Let's see. I went into Prosperity first in order to bait an Ash. He allowed it to go through. Let's see. So, with this, I got the Beautiful Princess, the two of those actually. Hakeru, Sanguine, Eldlich, and Lancia. So, I decided with my hand already, it wouldn't have been useful if I got any of the Eldlich pieces. I already had the Shark pieces. And Lancia would have just been very good and high impactful against his deck. So, I got the Lancia, which you could see comes up a lot later on his turn. So next I summon the Beautiful Princess, banishes for cost, he ashes it. So I kind of just can't do much after that. This deck isn't, the Shark Engine isn't really good against Ash at all. So I just hit Droplet, set Prison, and pass. I immediately shotgun the Lancia, and he uses a Tenki, brings out his Fractal. Next he uses Fractal, and he sends Cobalt. Next he uses the Warbler. Warbler effect's gonna bring him back. That, I decided to use it. He kind of waited a little bit, so I thought it was good. I brought his Cobalt out, but then he uses Red Reboot against me. So this was the time I got Red Rebooted. Paid half his life points. It's fine, I just got it back, and now I could set a trap card for my deck, which was going to be Sanguine. This is the only bad part about Red Reboot. If you can't OTK your opponent, now they have their trap that they already set, and they have another trap that they get from their deck. There wasn't really much of a better option I could have gone with, so I just went with Sanguine. I didn't have any other power trap cards. I didn't have a random Floodgate. So now he just goes and he gets his resolves and he gets his Nerval. Now he thinks he's kind of safe here. But here I did use the Forbidden Droplets on this. I'm not too sure if that was the correct play. I didn't really want him to get more extenders, and I felt like he could have potentially passed if I did it there. Of course, he still has Nerval and Kit. But next he's going to get out his Nerval and immediately link off with it. And with this he's going to summon out the Link 2. Now next he's going to use Nerval effect to get Karaz. And then use the effect of Blossom, bring out Kit, and then use the effect of Karaz, pitch Avion, special summon it. Then he was going into the Link 4, but then he realized that he was under Lancia, so he decided not to. So he just ended up with this. He did talk to me after. He said that he should have gone into the bird. That would have been the most useful thing, I think, but even then I had the out to it with Ice Dragon's Prison because I could special summon back one of his Winged Beasts from the graveyard and then just banish it. And then I also had Sanguine. I could beat over his other bird, his Samorg, and plus my top deck, which you will see. He attacks me for 1600. I draw, and I draw Buzzsaw Shark. I was thinking to myself that my best top deck is going to be Buzzsaw Shark. If I could get Buzzsaw Shark, way to get into Buzzsaw Shark, that would be the best top deck. And I did. I got into Buzzsaw Shark, so I normal summoned it, and I got into my Lantern Shark. I then went into this. I went into the Shark Lancer and decided to make a 4-material Zeus instead of a Toad and a Zeus. Though I'm not sure, like, thinking about it now, what would be better, a Toad and a Zeus, or a 4-material Zeus. I felt like I just went with this because obviously he has no cards in hand, Not really too many cards in the graveyard. He could banish cards from his graveyard on his next turn, but that would have to be on his top deck, so there wasn't really much he could do at this point. I was thinking kind of hard on what to do. They're all beasts. I was thinking on what I should banish. I decided to get rid of Karaz because I didn't want him to get access to banish cards, so I hid his Karaz, and then I banished both it and Kit. And of course, made phase 2, made Zeus, and then I could have used Sanguine. Yeah, I used Sanguine here, and I got Golden Lord, and then I passed on here. His top deck was Karaz. He normal summoned it in hopes that I wouldn't use Zeus, but of course, I used the Zeus on summon, and I got rid of everything on the field, and obviously he just can't do anything after that, and I have game at this point with Sanguine, because I could either get a Hakeru and attack for game with a Hakeru, or I could just pitch it with the Eldlich effect and just get a 3,500 Eldlich attack for game. So, a very nice game. This is where I feel like all the pieces of my deck came together. The Prosperity, the Lancia, Ice Dragon's Prison. Everything just came up except for Abyss Dweller, which I was going to make. I decided it would be better to use because it was graveyard effects. I would get rid of Nerval, get rid of Kit. He would lose a search, so I just felt it would have been better to go into, but I couldn't have gone into it anyways because he just asked me. But anyways, didn't matter. Zeus is great. Eldlich Engine is great. Shark Engine, better than I thought. Way better than I thought. As for my matchups, I went up against Altergeist. The Shark Engine really came to clutch there. Like, I used the Shark Engine mainly for both the games because I was under Gozen match, so I couldn't really go into my Eldlich cards, so I just relied on my Shark Engine, and I did really good with that. Against Dinos, the Eldlich Engine is really what did it for me there. A little bit of the Shark Engine helped also. This one I used a bit of both. I could have used more of the Eldlich stuff in game 1, but he just scoops before I can. The Shark Engine's not even bad, honestly. It's fairly decent. It's pretty. I know I'm saying this a lot, but didn't expect it to be this good at all. Didn't even expect to win. I thought I wasn't even going to do that good. I thought I was going to potentially top. And then against Dragon Link, that was just honestly kind of a quick 2-0. It was just kind of easy, that one. Not too much I have to say about that. I kind of just made my normal plays. I was able to go first and stuff. And I was able to use Droll. Just overall, I had pretty good matches. So that's the entire video over. I don't know if it's going to be kind of a long one. I spent time on deck profile, a lot of time on the replay. And you could participate in these tournaments that we have if you just join the Discord server, link in the description. And you could participate in the tournaments, no entry fee. And if you top, you get special rules. And then if you win, I will display your deck profile on this channel. So if you want a chance to get out there, heck, even if you have a YouTube channel, you could give it a shout out on one of my videos. I won, so I had my own prize of my role and the deck profile. It kind of feels bad. I feel like I'm taking away a little bit of your prize and just giving it to myself. That's the main reason why I probably won't participate in these anymore. I had a lot of fun anyways. I wish I could still participate. We'll see. If you guys really want me to participate, I'll still play. And of course, this is the part where I sip for subscribers. Subscribe to me because we have like 97% of people who aren't subscribed, 3% who are subscribed. That is a huge number for people who aren't subscribed, and we even have a lot of subscribers as well. We have reached 200 subscribers recently, and we are continuing to grow pretty quickly. And it's even incredible to think that we could grow even higher. Make sure you subscribe, join the Discord server, because we're going to keep on doing events. It's fairly active. Just as always, have a great rest of your day.